What's up, guys? Welcome back to Newswave. So today we're going to talk a bit about Dragon Age because it looks like Dragon Age 4 could be going through some issues, and honestly it might have suffered some from Anthem. Sounds like there's still a lot of mismanagement and craziness going on in Bioware. We're going to talk a bit about that today, and you can finally change your name on PlayStation Network. It's been a long time coming, but you can finally do it. We also saw a bit more from the Famitsu sales charts that show the Switch like right behind the PlayStation 4 in Japan. So a lot of stuff to go over today. As always, guys, enjoy these videos. Make sure to like, but it does help out. We're actually going to start today with a giveaway, because what's very interesting about this, it's a pretty cool giveaway too, I must say. It's a Switch, but it's a custom-made Switch. I'm actually going to show you a picture of it here, and this is from Perfect World Entertainment and Panic Button, who worked to bring Hob, the Definitive Edition, over to the Nintendo Switch. We're actually doing a giveaway for this Switch along with a code for Hob, the Definitive Edition. And the way this is going to work is down below there's a link. I have it out on Twitter, and you can enter there for a chance to win. We'll have this go on for the next week. So next week we'll do the drawing, and one lucky person will actually win this awesome looking Switch, which there's only going to be a few of them in the world, and a copy of the game. Pretty cool stuff. Thanks to Perfect World Entertainment and Panic Button for coming together and doing this, getting a giveaway for you guys. It's really cool. So let me know what you think about the Switch. I think it looks really cool. And then make sure you check down below for the giveaway. We'll be running it all week. Now we're going to start today with some quick news, and that actually comes from Sniper Elite V2 Remastered. Now we talked before about a ton of Sniper Elite news. Remember V2 Remastered, Sniper Elite 3 going to the Switch, Sniper Elite 4, all of this stuff happening out of nowhere for Sniper Elite from Rebellion. Well, we did get a date for Sniper Elite V2 Remastered. It looks like it's actually coming out in about a month, May 14th. And what was really cool about this, of course, it's going to be $30. They have a bunch of improvements, 4K assets and everything. It looks like it's going to be really cool. $30 coming on all platforms May 14th. And this is a good way to kind of get into the Sniper Elite series if you missed it completely, especially if you missed the first one like the Xbox or the PS2 or whatnot, or PC. And you want to get into it before the new one, so seemingly the new one comes out later on. And then, of course, you can kind of work your way through from V2 Remastered to 3 and then the new one. All on the Switch, actually. So pretty cool there. Just look forward to it next month. Oh, and we talked about Final Fantasy X, 10-2 getting a release physically on the Switch. Kind of. Remember, 10 is going to be on a cartridge. 10-2 is going to be a download code. It's something we've seen several times now, obviously at this point, with a lot of releases. Even like Capcom does it with their Mega Man Legacy and X Legacy collection, where they split them up. The first collection is physical, then the other one is a code. Well, that's going to be this same way, unless you get a copy in Asia, where, according to PlayAsia, as they shared on their Instagram, it's all one cartridge, which makes me believe that that is a 32GB cartridge. And what's great here is, of course, the Switch is region-free, so technically you can order it and play it because it has an English option as well. So if you are a big-time collector, you want to make sure you have the whole thing physically. I don't know how rare this one will be compared to, obviously, the other parts of the world with the US and everything. I think it'll be probably the more desired one, so I would look into that. I think PlayAsia has it up for like pre-order. They're waiting to get the stock in, then they'll ship it out from there. But I am tempted at this point to get this version. Anytime I can get everything on one cartridge, I would rather do that than have to get a code that's redeemable once. Even though 10-2 isn't a game I'm going to play a lot of, I'd rather play 10, it's still good to know you have it right there on the cartridge. And yesterday we did get that direct announcement, kind of, and it wasn't Nintendo technically, it was Microsoft, as they did announce that there will be an Inside Xbox coming up. As you're seeing here from Larry Herb himself, Major Nelson said that the next Inside Xbox will be April 16th, 5 p.m. Eastern Time. They showed a little collage, a video collage of some stuff to expect. They showed like Rage 2, some Sea of Thieves stuff, which, okay, sure, Mortal Kombat 11, and it sounds like there's also be stuff with Game Pass and backwards compatibility, which maybe that means original Xbox stuff will become backwards compatible, maybe 360 stuff, hard to say. But I know people are not as excited for Inside Xbox as much as they are. Even State of Play at this point, while it wasn't great for the first one, it still moved along a lot faster, whereas with something like Inside Xbox, we'll get these weird live segments or these weird one-offs like the escape room thing for State of Decay. I think Inside Xbox just goes on a little too long. At least State of Play, while people didn't like it as much, was like boom, boom, done. And of course Nintendo Directs seem to hit a lot harder because usually they have bigger announcements. But still, if you're an Xbox fan, you can look forward to Inside Xbox next week. And guys, some of the quick news out of the way, let's get into the bigger stuff. We're going to start with the Famitsu sales charts right away. We're going to go right into the top 10 right here, starting with number 1. Super Dragon Ball Heroes World Mission actually was number 1 there, 70,990. That is on the Switch. Great debut actually at number 1. Good to see there. Of course, Dragon Ball Heroes is kind of already popular in Japan, so this makes a ton of sense, I think, for it to top the charts. We'll see if it has any kind of tail going forward or if it just drops off heavily. We'll see about that. Yoshi's Crafted World dropped down to 2 because of Dragon Ball. That actually puts it at 28,468. Sekiro at number 3. And what's interesting about that is if it wasn't for Sekiro, the entire top 10 might have been all Switch games. Super Smash Bros. Ultimate below that at 4. Minecraft at 5. New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe at 6. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe at 7. And Splatoon 2, Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, and then Super Mario Party round out the top 10. Oh, and keep an eye on Super Mario Party there because it appears that in the next week or two it will become another 1 million unit seller in Japan for Nintendo. We obviously see something like Breath of the Wild, Splatoon 2, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, and then so on, all already over 1 million units. Smash Bros. Ultimate also appears to have gotten over 3 million. So the evergreen titles are pushing forward for Nintendo. And if we move over to the hardware here, you're going to see right away that the Switch is still cruising at that somewhere between 45 and 50,000 units every week. This week it was 46,850. The PlayStation 4 at 13,854. Big drop off actually for the PS4. Although I think everything had a bit of a drop, minus the Xbox One, which went up 1 unit. Good for them. Then the 3DS at 4,388. The Vita is slowly fading away, 482 units. The Xbox One up 1 unit to 93. If we look over at that lifetime to date, you can see there the Switch is 105,000 units or so away from the PlayStation 4 in Japan lifetime to date, and it's probably going to track it down within the next, I would say, at this point, 3 weeks. 3 to 4 weeks, it'll have tracked down the PlayStation 4, and that is very, very fast for that to happen. It does seem like the Switch is probably selling more on pace along the lines of like a 3DS, for example, which you can see a 3DS is 24 million lifetime to date. So yeah, the Switch is moving along well, and this is a time where there's really no massive hard-hitting releases. We just, Yoshi, sure, okay, Dragon Ball Heroes. But then we get into the back half of this year, Super Mario Maker 2, of course. We got Zelda coming, Astral Chain, Animal Crossing, Pokemon, Luigi's Mansion, Bayonetta maybe. You can see where things start stacking up. And then you have the Christmas season. It's going to get out of control. The Switch is probably going to roll right past 10 million units before the end of the year. At that point, it is looking like it might end up being a 3DS type selling unit. So interesting stuff there. But yeah, 3 to 4 weeks it'll pass the PlayStation 4. We've been talking about it for a little while, but to see it actually doing that, like in real time, is pretty interesting. Next up, let's talk a bit about Game Pass because a ton of games are showing up on the service in April, and there's some good ones. Remember we just talked about the $1 deal for like 3 months? Well, check this lineup out here that you're going to see in a second. And you might start thinking about that $1 offer because there's some good stuff in here, and they're going to tell us about more stuff at Inside Xbox. So yeah, they're rapid firing stuff towards Game Pass right now. Here's actually the picture they put out online. This is on the Xbox blog that they put out. And you can see Prey, that's actually April 11th. So they have these kind of dated already, but Prey is a pretty cool one to check out. Flew under the radar. I thought it was a pretty neat game. I didn't get a chance to play all the way through it, but I like the idea of it. Then we have Golf Club 2, also April 11th. And we have Monster Hunter World, which is a big one. When I saw that they added Monster Hunter World, that is pretty awesome, actually, to see that happen April 18th. So about midway through this month, so what, the next 8 days or so, you'll be able to download and play Monster Hunter World on Game Pass, which is tremendous. The Walking Dead: A New Frontier, also April 18th. Life is Strange 2, Episode 2, April 24th. And then Resident Evil 5, April 25th. That's actually pretty cool to see Resident Evil 5 just kind of thrown in there. It's a fun Resident Evil game, of course. It has co-op and everything. It's a good time. I am interested to play through Prey now, and if you missed out on Monster Hunter World, just maybe you didn't think it'd be your type of game, you don't want to spend $60 on it, that's what Game Pass is good for, is to get a game that you're not sure about 100%, and then it shows up and you just download it. So think about it that way, technically. For $1, you get everything on Game Pass now, and then you can also do Monster Hunter World, and you can do Prey. That's pretty neat. And then there are more games to come. They do this every month, obviously, with games. But this is a big one, big push at this point for Game Pass. They're trying to rack up the subscriptions with the low price, and now the awesome games being added. So I recommend signing up for it just because I'm it's a great value at this point. It's hard to argue against that now. So let me know what you think about that edition. I think Monster Hunter World really sets a tone for the service. Next up, let's talk about the PlayStation Network ID change. So you can now change your PlayStation Network ID, something that PlayStation fans have been asking for forever now. Seriously, they've teased it several times. They've talked about it at their PlayStation Experience. And finally, it is a reality. They even did like a beta for it, which was really funny to think about. There's a beta for changing your online name, but it is now official. You can change your name. It is free to do it the first time. So the first time you do it, you can just change your name. After that, though, it's $5 if you're a PlayStation Plus member, or it's $10 if not. So they have like a discount for PlayStation Plus members. What was interesting about this is there are certain games, they kind of pulled the curtain back on this a bit. There are certain games that have kind of critical errors, and there are ones that have outright critical errors. And there are some things that you can actually lose from these. And that was kind of odd to see. I guess that the ID is tied into the way some of these games work just outright. Like I saw like Warframe is one that might be affected, and I said, yeah, that makes sense. Okay, yeah, because that's like your online ID. They might have it tracked in their system. Who knows how it actually interacts. But then if you look at the ones that have serious like critical issues, it's like a lot of the baseball games. It's like MLB The Show, like 14, 15, 16, and maybe just the way it's coded around your name and the online and stuff. But you might be asking, what can actually happen if there is an error? Well, there's like a little list of stuff that can actually go wrong. For example, they say the user may lose in-game currency, whether paid for or earned, loss of game progress. So that means you could just lose everything, I guess, in terms of like how far you are in it, even towards trophy unlocking. And at that point, that might really turn some people off. And then loss of UGC or parts of the game may not function properly, both online and offline. So one, there are going to be a ton of videos, I assume, on YouTube of people having corrupted stuff from changing their name. But at least they give us a list. And good news, NAC 1 and 2, not even affected a little bit. Not at all. So we're good. When I saw that, I said, NAC 2 better not be on that critical failure list there. It's good to see this, finally, for people who really wanted it, because I even know some people who have their names stuck as something crazy from like a high school or something, you know, and they're like, I really want to change it. Can we please change it? And now you can. So if anyone wants to take a shot at it and see how it affects things, I'm still a little concerned. I want to see if they'll iron some of this stuff out. But good to see it is free the first time. You can change your name. Just keep in mind some of those issues. Check the list to make sure that your game is on the list that's like greenlit and not on one of the critical failure lists. But good to see there for everyone who really want to change their name. And our last bit of news, let's talk about Dragon Age 4, because remember we saw that very, very quick teaser. It was really about nothing, it seemed. They just wanted to say, hey guys, this is kind of Dragon Age. You know, you can kind of speculate about it, but something's happening. We pretty much know that Dragon Age is being worked on. Yeah, that's fine. The developers and stuff have openly told us basically that it's being developed, but we didn't really know what was going on there. We had Dragon Age Inquisition, of course, which some people liked. I actually enjoyed the game. I thought it was pretty cool, but it was done in Frostbite. There were issues, and they've even openly said that there were things they had to invent, like a third-person camera in the game, because Frostbite didn't have it. But now here we are rolling into Dragon Age 4 after the debacle that was Anthem. Massive issues there, obviously. I'm not going to tell you about it. Most of us know Anthem and all of its missteps and problems that are still going on now. And Jason Schreier wrote a piece now on Dragon Age 4 and kind of its development leading up to where we are now. And that was on Kotaku, and it's an interesting read because there are some issues there. For example, there was one that was outright in development, like they were developing Dragon Age, and then it was like canceled or shelved or put on hiatus, and they actually even had full-on code names for these, and they have a code name for the one currently. That one is Morrison. The one for the previous one that was shelved was Joplin. Joplin was apparently just like almost straight up single-player mode, but guess what EA wants? EA wants a live service, right? We know this now. EA wanted in some way multiplayer to be added in, and that can become a problem when that's not the scope of the game or the idea. Now, Dragon Age Inquisition had multiplayer, and it was kind of separated from the single player. It seems like they want it to all be encompassing, it seems. So there are some cool ideas that were mentioned in the article. For example, not just your decisions will kind of affect things around you in the world, but everyone's decisions combined can actually affect the world. So the world itself can be molded and changed based on everyone online, which is a cool idea. But we do also know that the online can affect the way that they tell the story, whereas Anthem, the story is kind of boring, there wasn't a lot going on, and it felt like they would get, it's hard to describe. It felt like the online got in the way. Like they knew it had to be a multiplayer game, right? And apparently Dragon Age is built on Anthem pretty much, the engine, everything, the way that they built it up. It's even been described as some websites as Anthem with dragons. So that's a bit concerning, although Jason said that that's been kind of shot down by some of the developers. But the fact that it's going to be a multiplayer game, as we're hearing, would, I think, hurt some of the narrative, and I think it hurt it with Anthem. But Anthem's always online. Does that mean that Dragon Age will always be online? That's the part we need to find out, and that's the part that has most of us concerned, because I feel like if BioWare was owned by a first-party company like a PlayStation or a Microsoft, and they were given free reign to do whatever they want, I mean, maybe not. Maybe not Microsoft. Microsoft's doing live services too. Maybe just PlayStation. If they were owned by PlayStation, they were allowed to do a story-driven, just narrative RPG. I think they would have something there. But I think where they are now with EA, we're going to get a live service. I think it's going to have a lot of issues again, and we're going to be right back to where we were with Anthem. I hope I'm wrong, but based on what I'm seeing here in this article, and you should go read it because it's a good read, I don't think I am. And ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it here for Newswave. If you enjoyed this video, guys, hit the like button. It really helps out. If not, hit the dislike. Leave comments down below about everything we talked about, whether it's Dragon Age 4 and what do you think is going to happen here with EA and BioWare going after another live service after Anthem that's probably going to take quite a while to fix? What do you think about that situation? Because I am concerned that they wouldn't make Dragon Age 4 an actual single-player game with minimal multiplayer. I think it's going to be all multiplayer, and that, I think, will work out similar to Anthem. What do you think about the Game Pass lineup and the library they keep building, and then the changing your PlayStation Network ID that could affect things on your end? Thanks, guys, for watching, and I'll see you next time.